Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's bonus episode. I'm so excited to share it with you. It is our audience Q&A with this week's guest at our live taping of Gaslit Nation on Monday, and that was Tristan Snell, the former New York State prosecutor who brought down Trump University, started that investigation on behalf of the people of New York against their homegrown traitor son. Trump, of course, was born and raised in Queens. He came up the ranks of Fred Trump's evil real estate empire, which shaped Brighton Beach, which you can see the mark of his work today when you drive in southern Brooklyn, Coney Island. Fred Trump made his fortune off of a lot of dirty Russian money. He was, of course, helping a lot of former Soviet citizens who came over and sort of resettled Brighton Beach, the Crimea of New York, if you will. And it's very Russian to this day. And a lot of Trump's goon squad came from there, Michael Cohen, and a lot of wonderful people came from there, like longtime friend of the show and friend in real life, Olga Lotman, one of the world's foremost mafia experts, was raised in Brighton Beach. So I don't want to throw massive shade on an entire neighborhood of New York City, but there you have it. So it was fun to talk to a former New York State prosecutor about the ins and outs of the justice system here in New York, which has been so essential to finally trying to hold Trump accountable. When Cy Vance was looking the other way, Cy Vance being the former Manhattan DA and taking a hefty campaign donation from a Trump family lawyer, which led to Ivanka and Don Jr. getting off the hook for their, at the time, impending indictment for fraud into Trump Soho. At that time, Tristan Snell was leading the investigation on behalf of the AG's office in New York into Trump University. That was a 3-year investigation, 2013 to 2016. He was relentlessly collecting heartbreaking testimony of countless people that were frauded, that had their savings completely wiped out by Trump's Ponzi scheme, one of many. Trump operated many Ponzi schemes. And Trump University was just one of them. And the settlement was reached in November 2016, the month when the whole world turned upside down. So Tristan answered questions from our listeners who came to the live taping. The questions ranged from, what do we do if you're not an American? Let's say you're a Canadian and Trump wins. What is going to change for you? And he answers questions on the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. And so it was really interesting. There's a range of questions that he went into, so I'll save it for the rest of this episode. So I look forward to sharing this Q&A. It's going to be exclusive to our Patreon community that keeps the show going. We hope to have Tristan on the show in a future episode as these big cases against Trump progress, hopefully, especially in Georgia and New York State, and of course in DC. Once again, I'm reminding everyone, these cases, pretend they're not happening. Trump has escaped justice again and again through bullying, through mob harassment, intimidation tactics, through clearly paying people off, and so on. So I don't trust any of these cases. What it's going to come down to in 2024 is us. It's always come down to us. Gaslit Nation launched in 2018 to be a part of building what would become the big blue wave. And we've been doing it again, election cycle after election cycle. It comes down to us. Grassroots power is the most reliable power we have left. But it is still important to discuss these big legal cases because they provide disturbing insight into the rampant crisis of elite criminal impunity in America and how to confront it, how to try to get some accountability, and how to protect ourselves in the process. So that's what this conversation, the continuation of this week's public show, shaped by questions from our listeners that attended Monday's live taping. Thank you to everyone who joined us in that conversation. Thank you so much for your comments and your questions throughout that live taping. It is always so fascinating to hear from you and to see what is keeping everyone up at night. It's a lot of what keeps me up at night. So we're all in this together. And I want to share that as I mentioned in last week's bonus show, I had taken a rare, long overdue vacation with my family to Colorado to see an old friend and her family. And it was a wonderful time catching up on sleep and catching up on movies. And one thing that I did relentlessly on my vacation to self-care was I watched a lot of music documentaries. I'm obsessed with music documentaries. And so I have my special curated list of music documentaries that inspired me, reset me, gave me a lot of burning ideas for us to do as a community heading into this hellfire year, ways to sustain ourselves creatively, spiritually, to overcome where we are right now, not just survive, not just have our democracy survive, but thrive in 2024. So I will share that especially curated list of music documentaries. There's 5 of them that I highly, highly recommend. And I'm going to provide some commentary on each one. And that will be exclusive to our Patreon community as a thank you to all the folks that keep this show, our wonderful, hardworking team together, producing this show 2 times a week for you and being part of the solution of stopping fascism in America and therefore abroad. Thank you to all of you who support Gaslit Nation. And now, here is Tristan Snell answering questions from our wonderful folks in our Patreon community. Thank you.